Thank you so much for joining us on this podcast, Mr. Mariwala. It's such a pleasure. And you've built such an incredible empire, FMCG brands like Safola, Parachute, others that have been in most Indian households. What do you think is your biggest achievement in this journey so far?
So first of all, thank you, Devna, for interviewing me. I'm meeting you after a long, long time, and you took a break, but welcome back to this business or this
And I must
kind
say,
of
even
work.
after this break, you look the same,
Okay.
which I'll be asking you about.
Yes.
What do you feel has been your biggest achievement?
Okay.
You've created brands that are
Yes,
now in
yeah.
almost every Indian
Okay.
household, synonymous with India.
Yeah. So I look at Marico, and Parachute and Safola, of course, are our big brands, but we have many other brands. We have something like 25 brands. But if you look at our portfolio of products, in all the brands we are present in, we are market leaders in that particular segment. So we are present, for example, in anti-lice shampoos.
Yeah.
Though we are not present in a big way in shampoos, but anti-lice shampoo, we are market leaders. So the portfolio choice and market leadership is something I'm very proud of. Because if you're a market leader in your segment, it gives you tremendous pricing power, it gives you economies of scale, and your profitability also is much higher compared to somebody else who has a lower market share. So each of our brands, we are clear market leaders, and most of them dominant market leaders, which means we are beyond 50% market share. And that helps a lot in terms of the business being very strong and not so vulnerable to competitive threats.
You had to convince your elders in the family to sort of take Marico in a different direction and to build the way you have built.
Yes.
Now, many have taken over family businesses, but not many have built what you have built. Now, what did you do differently, you think, from peers of that generation and sort of give or take 5 years?
See, I think the time I started in India, there was license Raj.
Yeah.
And most of my friends who were from family businesses, they used to spend a lot of time in Delhi getting a license.
Yeah.
For me, it was not possible because I was not cut out to get a license and grease somebody's palms or entertain people. So in a way, the business I'm in required fundamentally to work with the consumer. So the consumer focus has helped a lot, and building brands, and more importantly, building the organization structure, which is professional, which is high quality, which has very high degree of governance. I think all these have played a very, very important role. And finally, you need to have growth mindset. Businesses have to grow because growth is like oxygen for any business. If you don't grow, it will have impact all the stakeholders, including employees, because everybody loves challenges. So we brought in the growth mindset to ensure that we continuously went on growing. And whenever we had some sort of a roadblock in terms of growth, we pivoted to doing something new. So our whole business, starting from Parachute to Safola, went into hair oils, what you call post-wash hair care products, from Safola to Safola Foods, oats. Then we acquired 4 to 5 D2C brands. We went international. So there is a continuous desire to grow in your core business and also to transform yourself. And I think that's what makes business so exciting, and it makes growth happen.
Also, you let go in terms of your daily operational role when you thought Marico needed younger blood.
Yeah.
Now, that's not how Indian promoters think.
Yes.
They don't let go
Yes.
of that role.
Yeah. You are absolutely right, Devna.
So, what is that mindset? How do you develop that kind of mindset?
So I think I have a thumb rule that, the organization's interest comes first.
Yeah.
There is always a conflict between the organization and the promoters, the organization and some key employees. But whenever there is a conflict, that thumb rule comes in. So what was required at that time when I stepped down was that it needed new type of leadership. I had built the company for 30, 40 years and we needed some new blood. So we had somebody within the organization who was ready to take over. And the other thing is, Indian society is very hierarchical. And you rightly put it, it is expected that your children will take over from you and not a professional. I deviated from that because at that time my son was not ready. I could have continued for a longer period of time. But again, I wore that kind of a thumb rule that at that time the company needed somebody from outside. The business had become big, it had become complex, and we needed somebody experienced. And if you have very good talent, which is of very high quality, then you need to have a leader who can manage that talent. So I think from that angle it worked. I delegated. It was a tough thing for me to do. I was not sure what will I do with my time. But luckily things have panned out in such a way that I have been quite busy. I have done a lot of things which I never thought I would be able to do. And the business also has done well. It has grown tremendously in terms of market cap, in terms of growth. So net, it has been a very good decision. But it was a difficult decision.
And again, I think you took it from the point of view of a growth mindset.
Yes.
So I think when you have that in place,
yes,
and you think from that viewpoint,
yes,
you will hopefully make the right decisions.
absolutely.
You've faced in your career takeover bids from massive global FMCG giants.
yeah.
You faced labor union strikes,
Yes.
other challenges.
Yes.
Now, how do you tackle adversity?
Uh-huh.
And also, failure is such a taboo word in
Yeah.
Indian society.
Yes.
How do you cope with that? Not that you've had big failures,
Yes.
luckily, but how does one fail with that? How does one tackle that?
So I think first of all, you need to look at your journey from the point of view of experimenting, prototyping, because you cannot predict that every move of yours will succeed.
Yeah.
And in my cases also many times we tried something new, it didn't do well. But out of that failure, there has always been a learning, and which has led to a much greater success at a later stage arising from that learning. So I always say that, it's sometimes you win, but you always learn in spite of failing.
Yeah.
So learning from failure is very, very crucial. And the biggest hindrance to innovation in any business is the fear of failure. So I have not had, if the risk is very high in terms of financials, it should not wipe you out. But you can always lower the risk by prototyping it on a small scale. I think that's been my philosophy. In terms of selling out to others, I have this belief that, business beyond a point, I am not into money for this. I want to create something. I want to create a legacy. I want to create a perpetuity. And money is not going to make that happen. So I'm not greedy for money, in spite of people telling me, okay, your future generations will be taken care of financially. That doesn't interest me. That doesn't excite me. I want to create a business which is a perpetual business, which will go on growing, which will go on transforming, and that's what excites me.
And actually, you are one of those industry leaders of your genre that is in your business and in your space, as you said, creating, innovating. And I think you've always been focused on that. I don't think you're very distracted by sort of flamboyance.
Yeah, you're right.
What is happening around you, the way things are changing.
Yeah. So I believe in simplicity, simplicity in terms of lifestyle, simplicity in terms of doing things.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, I'm not the so-called page 3 earlier. There was page 3 in Times of India.
Yeah.
But I don't party like many others. But my lifestyle is simple. I stay in one just flat. I don't have any fancy offerings like a plane or something. So in a way, maybe I think that's what gets written about. And low-key life also to that extent. And now that I'm not heading the company, it's even in terms of image building, I don't speak on behalf of the company. The current managing director speaks because he should be speaking, not me. So in a way, because of all these reasons, it has been, I won't say absent, but maybe compared to some others, it has been a little bit low-key.
You must be getting offers all the time for your stake.
Now that it has reached a certain level, it'll be difficult for other companies. Very few companies would want to. But yes, there have been some initiatives taken by some companies for merging or for acquiring. But I've always felt that this business, I don't want to sell it, I don't want to merge it. Because there is no threat, first of all, in terms of strength of the business. Number two, I am not financially, it's not going to matter to me whether I am having a certain percentage of the current company or having the same thing in monetary terms if I sell out, because that doesn't interest me. My excitement is to go on building the company and creating a perpetuity for the company over a long period of time.
And you're a big fan of innovation, always have been. How do you approach this new world of data and technology? How do you take that on?
So I think first of all, technology is going to be the biggest disruptor. And the kind of disruptions which are likely to occur in the next 10 years are unimaginable. Whether it is AI or whether it is robotics or machine learning or whatever else. And a combination of technology is going to change our lives dramatically. So I think it's very important that all organizations are on top of this in terms of what will happen in future, how will it impact their business, and take proactive steps to ensure that they are viewing those changes in technology from an opportunistic angle.
Yeah.
And we have taken a lot of steps in Marico to leverage all the digital initiatives in terms of sales, marketing, and we will continue leveraging technologies depending on what impact, what opportunities it throws up. But to me, this is going to be very, very crucial for any business to continuously look at and also analyze and how it will impact the business.
You've always been very fit, mentally, physically. As I said, I've seen you after a long time and nothing has changed, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So you play golf, you do Pilates, you do a lot. What else do you do to keep fit?
So I'll tell you, twice a week I do weights. Once a week I do functional training, which is planks and all. Once a week I do Pilates. Once a week I do yoga. In addition to that, I do some cardio. We have an aquacentric in Bombay, which is recovery from injuries through water, which is at Worli, and we are expanding in that. And then I play golf 3 times a week. So I have to be fit. You may call it whatever. I may be mad, but I go overboard on terms of fit. I don't rest a single day.
Wow.
But every day is a different variety. They say you should give rest to your body once a week, but I don't know why. I just feel guilty to take that rest. So even if I'm traveling, I'll walk at the airport for 2 hours internationally between the 2 flights and things like that. But I have to exercise. It's like having a shower or shaving. For me, you have to do it every day, and it's gone into my mind that if I don't exercise, I will not be able to fall asleep.
I understand that. But do you think that has helped you mentally as well?
Absolutely. I think there is a deeper connection between, exercising and the benefits of exercising and mental health. So I surely believe that it has definitely helped me.
And it's holding.
But I've also started doing now
you
breathing
age.
for last few months. So I do pranayams. I do breathing for 15-20 minutes every day.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And this would really help you as you sort of go across the decade of your
Hopefully.
70s and into your 80s. Of course it will.
Hopefully. That's what the plan is.
And in fact, you were saying that you, earlier when we were chatting, you said that there's an expert who has evaluated your age in terms of your health parameters.
Yeah, I'm heavily into health, So whenever somebody says I can help you in this or I do this, then I try and work with that person. So there's one person who is a longevity expert. So he analyzes all your parameters physically through blood, diet, and then ultimately comes to a prediction. So my actual age is 15 years lower than, my biological age is 15% lower than the actual age, which is very good.
That's fantastic. But that's not surprising given your
I don't know.
schedule of exercise and everything that you do.
Yeah.
Are you spiritual as a person? As I walked in, I did see some writings
I would
and
say that
scriptures outside
I don't
the
follow a
reception.
spiritual guru, but I have read a lot of books.
Yeah.
And I strongly believe in spiritualism. I believe in karma. I believe in doing the right things, be fair, integrity. To me, these are very, very crucial things.
Yeah.
And I have a very strong belief in doing the good things, the right things in life.
And I think that's always been upheld as a core value at Marico as well.
Yes.
Your children have taken their
But I'm not religious,
Yes.
I don't go to temples. And people say that I believe in a God, but formless God. You don't need to go to a temple to pray, and you do the right things, and that's how, you should, the God has sent you here for doing the right things, including making a difference to others. If you do that, then you don't need to go and pray, But I am a little bit of, shall I say, a maverick as far as that is concerned.
You've always been a maverick on so many things. In fact, what I'm asking you next is also what we mentioned earlier. is that your children have taken their own path career-wise, which again for an Indian family, I mean, it is happening more and more, where there is a sort of a break between ownership and management of a company. But I think you've really taken a bold step with this. And was it something you discussed? Was it your son's decision, your daughter's decision? Was it your decision? How did that pan out?
I would say it was my decision, and I had to tell them that this is my decision.
Yeah.
I involved them, but that expectation was there. So in a way, I again wore that hat for organizational interest. But looking back, it has been a very good thing to happen, because...
Do they feel it's a good thing?
Yeah, because, that pushed my son to start his own business, which is done exceedingly well.
Yes.
And now he can claim his right to fame is to say that, okay, I have now created this and it's my baby, and it is his baby truly. I spent some time with him, but he calls all the shots, and he's pioneered that business, which has done exceedingly well.
How does that affect succession and legacy?
Earlier it was a promoter managed company, and now it's become a strategic investor driven company, wherein currently I am the chairman and my son is on the board. So he plays a role beyond just being on board in terms of interacting with the management team. I spend about 20% of my time on Marico with the MD and his team, and he also is a part of that.
Right.
So it's a matter of time he has to take over from me, and so he would play that role. But I mean, his claim to fame is what he's created in Sharp Ventures.
Yeah. What message would you give to young aspiring people coming out of college and otherwise who want to build a career? I mean, it's an extremely competitive world now, and it's a very different world to when you started a business.
So I think one is career. What exactly you want to do, one doesn't know.
Yeah.
And I think all of us are born with some God-given gifts. But many of us don't know what are the gifts. And it's a blind eye. And my first advice always has been to sit down with those whom you know, your family, your friends, and have some sort of brainstorming session for 1 or 2 hours. What are your strengths? And what are the areas requiring improvement? All of us have strengths, and all of us have areas to improve upon.
Yeah.
And the key thing is to leverage on your strengths rather than trying to improve your weaknesses. So choose your career based on what strengths you have. You may be very good in music, then better to tailor make it to that. The other is go on trying. Every time a person tries something, that's not the ultimate destination. Many a time they say you should have a clear vision in terms of what is your career, but most of the time that vision evolves over a period of time, depending on where you start from. And then you start from something, you pivot to something else, you don't like something, you go to something else. At some stage, in the first 5 or 10 years, you will start making up your mind that this is something which you want to pursue it over a longer period of time, whether it's a business or whether it's a profession or whether it is a job. But I think let it evolve, I'm saying. First start identifying strengths and then start experimenting. If you don't have financial pressure, you can experiment a little bit more. But if you have financial shortage, then you'll have to work on something which gives you that financial thing, and then let it evolve over a period of time. If you have the freedom, and if you have depending on how it is faring.
Yeah. No, I think also one lesson to learn from you is, with the world changing as it is, and taste changing, and so much about sort of distraction and show as well, I think you keep your center. You keep your center very well. And I think all your sort of exercising and your spirituality and all of that, and participating actively in innovation keeps you centered and focused on your goals. Now, you're an author as well. You're a doting grandfather. There is so much you've achieved. What excites you about the future? And also, how have your values and priorities now changed?
So you're right. I like transformations, and I like pioneering things. So if I look back at my own journey, whenever we have pioneered or innovated on something, it just gives me a very different degree of highness, So I think that will continue to happen in Marico. Though I'm not in day-to-day management of the
Yeah.
company. I definitely play a role in terms of the transformation journey and what we should be doing. You've created an international business which forms about more than 25% of our turnover, which is doing well.
Yeah.
So I still feel that Marico has a long way to go in terms of what we have to achieve. And I think that excites me. At a personal level, I see that my children have settled down very well. My son has managed a business and also being a part of this journey. My daughter is handling the mental health part as well as she's a canine and feline behaviorist. So I think growing them and making them succeed gives me a huge satisfaction, which is difficult to describe.
Yeah.
And finally, spending time with my grandchildren is the biggest source of joy.
Absolutely. This was such a pleasure,
Yeah.
Mr. Mariwala. Thank you so much.
Thank you.